In this module, we will focus on the political, cultural, and linguistic background of the English language in the 19th century. This is the time of the height of colonization, industrial revolution, urbanization, spread of literacy, and publications. The Industrial Revolution culminates in the 19th century. By this time, Britain has occupied land, people, cultures, and languages around the world, from North America to South Africa and South Asia. The British Empire goes as far as Australia and New Zealand. They were newly created colonies where English assumes the position of the national language. The United States, free from the British colony then, rises above many European countries as the largest English speaking country in the world. The story of India is interesting. The British people entered India as merchants in the beginning with their company named East India Company that dealt mainly with cotton, silk, sugar, salt, spices, tea, and even opium. That later converted to the military empire famously named as the British Raj and colonized the whole of South Asia. The empire expanded as far as Burma and Hong Kong. How did the colonization and expansion change the English language? Did this uplift the status of the English language? Of course it did. The English language was the language of the British colonizers, so it assumed the highest position in the hierarchy and dominated the native languages wherever it spread. It is just like the way Anglo-Saxons dominated the Celtic languages. The English language dominated the native languages of whichever countries they colonized. The British Empire conquered India and ruled it, but interestingly, they could not totally replace the languages of India. There are, even today, more than 750 languages spoken in India. The languages still survived because of their written culture and their rituals and other religious practices associated with those languages. Sanskrit is considered to be the most ancient Indo-European language in South Asia. Languages such as Hindi, Punjabi, Maithili, Bhojpuri, Nepali, Urdu, Bengali, Marathi, Gujarati, they all come from Sanskrit. Other native languages of India are Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, etc. Because of the military and political dominance, English assumed not only the role of administration and diplomacy, but also that of lingua franca among the people. It was because many people did not understand each other's languages. Someone who spoke Tamil would use English to communicate to another person who spoke Hindi because their languages were not intelligible to each other due to their different linguistic origins. There were a group of British authors who wrote about India. When they wrote about India, they borrowed a large number of vocabulary from the Indian languages, which entered the mainstream dictionary of the English language. Some examples are Rudyard Kipling, George Orwell, H.G. Wells, E.M. Foster, etc. They wrote about India introducing Hindi and Bengali words into English vocabulary list. Some of the examples of those words are avatar, chitta, masala, pajamas, loot, veranda, khaki, bangle, bungalow, karma, dacoit, gaja, nirvana, guru, jungle, sepoy, mantra, masala, bandana, pandit, roti, chutney, thug, and yoga, and many more. These words are originally Hindi words. Some of them are Marathi and Bengali, but they have entered the English dictionary, further expanding the vocabulary of the English language. During the Second World War, and immediately after the Second World War, the British Empire withdrew from most of the colonies including India, and even when they withdrew from those colonies, the English language kept expanding. Massive urbanization happens during this period because of the large scale industries and urbanization all over the English speaking world. People move to cities en masse, which means changes in people's lives, food culture, fashion, and entertainment due to technology. This results in a large number of new vocabularies entering the new dictionaries. Typewriters, sewing machines, and many such items added to the list of vocabularies. The evolution of guns is also interesting, and so are those of automobiles, because their models keep evolving, adding to the new list of vocabularies. Development of technology was skyrocketing, and so was the English language. This is also the time of research and findings in different branches of knowledge. Examples in medicine are bacteriology, biochemistry, diagnosis, treatment, prevention, etc. For disease names, anemia, appendicitis, bronchitis, diphtheria, malaria, and numerous other ailments were introduced. In physics, words such as atom, electron, proton, neutrons, ultraviolet rays, quantum mechanics, relativity, radioactive, etc. added to the list. In astronomy, black holes, quarks, the Big Bang model, the superstrings captured the popular imagination. In chemistry, alkali, benzene, cyanide, formaldehyde, radium were invented. In psychology, schizophrenia, extrovert, introvert, behaviorism, superiority, and inferiority complex were used to describe mental conditions. Literary figures such as James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy, and the whole school of romantic poets such as Wordsworth, Browning, Keats, Shelley, Byron, Coleridge, and Tennyson polished the language with sophisticated literary expressions of the highest quality. The great works of these authors popularized the English language all over the world. Thus, by the time we come to the modern age, the English language proves to be the most flexible language in terms of keeping up with the technical inventions and social mobility. The English language shows its flexibility also in borrowing from other languages. The distance from Old English to Middle English needed a great leap because we saw in the previous chapters how the English language has been influenced by various foreign languages over the centuries. The English language emerged from the West Germanic language, but borrowed a large number of vocabulary from the Latin language as well. Then it borrowed from Celtic languages such as Welsh, Cornish, Irish, Scottish, etc. The influence of Scandinavian languages started with the invasion and settlement by the Nordic warriors during the Viking Age. The French influence started after the Norman conquest, and this is the time when the English language began to be understandable for us present speakers. During this period, the language went through massive changes in vocabulary, grammar, syntax, and the way it sounded. The spelling reform occurred as the technology of printing press developed and dictionaries began to be published. As Beowulf is the most popular work of Old English, so is Chaucer's Canterbury Tales for the Middle English. Written in the 14th century, it was a prelude to the outburst of writings in early modern English. Shakespeare's name stands tall and high among the writers who represent this era. The English language is known to be a language with spelling patterns that do not match with the way the words are pronounced because over the centuries of its evolution and development, the pronunciation of the words changed whereas spellings remained the same. The colonization begins as early as the Renaissance period, with the British Empire expanding its wings across the ocean and creating the largest English speaking countries in the New World. Modern English, by the 19th century, became sophisticated in expression and refined in structure, establishing itself as a prominent and influential language in literature and academia around the world. In the end, it will be interesting to see how the English language changed in the span of 1500 years. For that, let us conclude here by comparing a sentence from Old English with a sentence in modern English. Here's the opening lines from Beowulf. I will try my best to read it as it is written here in Old English. Quat we gardena in gerdagum thod kaninga trim ge frunan hu tha athelingas elen fremedon oft shield chafing shadena theatum menegam magtum miedosella oftie exode eorlas. What language is this? Does it sound like English? Is it English? Yes, it is. This is Old English, the opening lines of Beowulf. And now let me read a famous line from Virginia Woolf in Modern English. Life is not a series of gig lamps symmetrically arranged. Life is a luminous halo, a semi transparent envelope surrounding us from the beginning of consciousness to the end. This is modern English. We can see how the English language has evolved into the language we speak today.